So now that we have programmed our roughing operation, I'm going to go ahead and run a simulation here. Since we regenerated the toolpath after making these edits, we have generated roughing toolpath. We will go back and program a pre-finishing operation. So the pre-finishing operation could be done using several different techniques. In this particular example, we're going to talk about parallel finishing. Now, parallel finishing is a 3-axis method that can be used for both pre-finishing and finishing operations. And it's typically programmed with either a radius tool, which could be like a ball mill or a corner radius tool. Now, for the control geometry, if we do not select any regions or any surfaces, the toolpath will automatically be generated for the entire part region, entire part geometry that's visible. So I'm going to skip the selection of control geometry. We'll go into the tool. We'll pick a radius tool. In this example, I'm going to pick a ball mill. I'll pick a 1/2 inch diameter ball mill for the pre-finishing operation. Set the feeds and speeds to be loaded from the tool. Clearance to be automatic. And over in the cutting parameters, we'll specify the global parameters. As you can see from the dialog, by default, the stock is set to 0. So if you'd like to do a pre-finishing operation, we would specify a stock to leave. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to 20,000. So I'm going to, remove these stair steps that are being left from the previous operation, which was a roughing operation, before I do a finishing. Now, parallel finishing method is a very ideal, great toolpath method for machining areas that are near flat or not too steep. It's a great way of finishing and pre-finishing on 3D models that are freeform or sculpted. Great way to generate toolpath, finish these features. Now the angle of cut, we'll talk about it in a moment. Step over control as well. So I'll put it as 20% and then select generate. So this creates a 3-axis parallel finishing, and the toolpath runs in parallel planes following the 3D geometry, as you see right here. So let's go ahead and run a simulation. I'm going to select play. So the stair steps that are being left from the previous roughing operation is being cleared, removed using a pre-finishing operation. We're using parallel finishing to accomplish this. So it just makes it easier on the cutter as you go from pre-finishing to finishing. Now the pre-finishing operation, the parallel finishing that we generated here, you will notice that when you run into vertical or near steep areas, even though we have a uniform XY step over specified, as you have these steep areas, it's going to leave more material in the steeper sections. This is the nature of how the parallel finishing toolpath works. So in order to be able to clear up this material, we would have to go back and program another parallel finishing operation by changing the angle of cut. So the angle of cut here is set to 0. 0 will run the cutter parallel to the x-axis going back and forth. So as you can tell here, the angle of cut on this particular parallel finishing operation is set to 0. So I'm going to make a copy of the same operation. We'll do a copy, right click and paste, and then double click to edit the operation out. I'll change the angle of cut to 90 degrees. I can set the stock to leave to 0. This could be our finishing operation, and then I can also tighten up the step over to 10% of the tool diameter and generate it. So setting the angle of cut to 90 will run the cutter in parallel planes parallel to the y-axis. So let's go ahead and run a simulation in here. And now this removes the scalloping that could have been left from the previous angle of cut, which was 0 degrees, which ran parallel to the x-axis. Here we're running it parallel to the y-axis.